So that's about it.
Awesome. Yay. Thanks. I'm so glad that it resonated with you.
Yeah.
And I love hearing what you have to say because it's part of like the process of kind of what I want to talk about today too is like there are different levels for each person on how we are furthering this understanding of ourselves and what it is that we're actually participating in. So I love it. Thank you. All right, Madeline, give us an intro.
Hey, my name's Madeline. Um, I met Pamela at a shamanic drumming circle. Um, and it was the first time, we just randomly met there. It was pretty much just her and I and the host. And but we had a good time. And it was just before she moved, so she ended up moving, and but she happened to be back visiting some family a few months later, and we just randomly ran into each other again.
Mhm.
Um, and that's when she told me about spirit calling and stuff like that, and here I am since then.
Yay, wonderful. I'm so glad you could be here. You know, you're one of my favorites too. Like you have so much to bring because you're real and like that's what it gets down to is like people want to know, even when it's sometimes hard to talk about it. I find that people really want to know what it is that you're going through. Um, right, especially right now. So thank you for all that you've shared and your vulnerability. I appreciate it a lot. And Jason, I just saw that you popped in. I'm so glad. Yay. I
Yeah, how
wanted
are you?
to, I know you posted something the other day and I wanted to listen to it. So I'm going to go back after this and listen to it.
Oh,
But
good deal.
we're going around and just doing some intros. I'll get to you in just a minute, but I'm going to go over to my girl Nicole Gibbs to give an introduction.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's a little quiet though.
That's what I thought.
There,
My
that's good.
sound went quiet all of a sudden, so I hope you can hear me. Okay. So, yes, I'm Nicole Gibbs, and I found Spirit Calling about a year and some change, maybe. I don't know. I feel like it always is longer than it is, but time is such an illusion now. I don't even know. But sometime last year, I think Danielle was doing a podcast episode with Pamela and was wanting me to listen to that. That was the first time I had connected or known anything about Pamela and spirit calling in general, what she was doing, which really was calling my soul too, as well, with wanting to connect, wanting to meet regularly with like-minded peoples and wanting to bring high vibe everywhere. So it's like the social media platform of my choice because this is what I'm sure we all wish they all were like, with authentic people and sharing and boosting each other up and all that. So I'm just so thankful to be a part of the community for this long and to co-create with everybody and yeah, just keep connecting.
Yeah, and co-create you have been doing, man. This girl's been rocking. She's got I guess
Yeah.
you are also just recently got a certification. Like is it a healist with healist?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a
That's
practitioner now on the Helix. So that's for my soundtrack specifically to get a custom track for anything you wish to aid yourself with or benefit from, even from animals. Like Mike reached out, just anything that has to do with something out of balance, out of alignment that you would wish in your life. I'm just really passionate about sharing my gifts with people, having especially the background and specializing in reading brainwaves as an EEG technologist. I'm just so passionate about merging the two together of spirituality and science and really understanding what's happening when we are have these influences of frequencies, because we're constantly changing in and out of frequencies all day long, and what that really means for us when we're in a specific frequency and how that can benefit us. So I'm just really passionate to share and create and serve as much as I can, really.
that's great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing a little bit about what you've been doing too. So, and even
Yeah.
though you
Thank
do,
you.
and she also has obviously her sound healings here at Spirit Calling. So don't forget to check that out for the month that's coming. Is it already out?
Yeah.
It is, right?
Well, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Perfect. Perfect. All right, Mike.
Yes.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah,
Yay.
I've been wanting to be here, and I finally got a chance.
Great, great.
So my YouTube feeds used to be just all about cars and home repairs and just basic stuff like that because that's what I do for a living. And all of a sudden, I started getting um, video feeds from how do you know you're a chosen one, premonitions on the future and stuff like that. Um, but Pamela's video showed up on my feed, and for whatever reason, her video just it caught my eye, and I listened to it, and there was just something about her that connected to me like instantly. Like I knew she was genuine, and I could see in her expressions and hear in her voice that she was legit. It just wasn't about being on YouTube making money. I knew she had care in her heart, and that's what attracted me to following her to spiritcalling.com. And just the 2 or 3 months that I've been with you guys, I mean, has just been an incredible transformation in my life. And I'm finding that with all the research that I've done my whole life, it's destiny for me to be here because everything you guys are talking about is everything that I've been researching, and I'm tying it all in together, and it's just so amazing.
I can't wait to like hear more about that because that's like when I hear that, I'm like, what is going on? That like the things that just line up in your life where you're just like, whoa, it's almost like it's like you already know it, but you don't know how you know it. And then when they come into alignment, it's like, I'm exactly where I need to be. So I can't wait. I can't wait to hear a little bit more. Thank you. All right, Jason, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you found spirit calling.
You guys hear me okay?
Yes.
So, I'm Jason. I live in Utah. I found spirit calling actually off of TikTok. I saw Pamela on there just doing one of her little short 30-second clips, and I'm like, I got to look a little bit more into this. But I'd already been kind of going down the spiritual journey before I found Pamela, but I just didn't know. I didn't know where to go. I really did. I needed some mentorship is really what I needed. I needed to find somebody people I could talk to because I grew up very religious, and as anybody that grows up that way, they know that there's some truths in with a lot of the control, right? And so like I already was a praying person, but I just did it because that's what I was supposed to do. I didn't really understand why. And now like going into this journey of more spiritual, there was a lot of reason behind it, but I did not understand why I was doing it. And that kind of led me to spirit calling. It kind of in a nutshell, it's been obviously kind of like Mike was saying, it's been a massive transformation to have this mentorship, to be able to reach out to you, to Nicole. Like I've reached out to different people and got on different of the things that you guys offer on this platform, and with Pamela and what she offers, and a bunch of the I call it curriculum, but the programs that are on spirit calling, that's really that's helped me a lot. Like I didn't realize about the chakras. Like that was all new to me. Like I had no idea. I didn't realize about the third eye. I never even put two and two together until really July of this year.
Yeah.
And it's just been like this thing that I have not been able to stop thinking about consistently. And, I go back in my journey and I realize, okay, there's been a lot of things that have been leading up to this. It wasn't just like like we tell our stories, it's almost like a light switch flipped on. But no, if each one of us told our stories, it goes way, way deeper into like leading us to this point.
Absolutely.
But that's kind of how it's happened for me.
Oh, that's so exciting because Nicole and I even offline will have conversations and we can ignite each other in ideas that we didn't necessarily think a certain way, or oh, I've missed that. I didn't quite look at it fully that way. And that's the great thing I think about spirit calling too, is that when you have an idea or a thought or where you're going on your journey, you might only be available, your capacity might only be available for certain things. And as you go through the process, in my spiritual journey, at least, and you guys can speak on behalf of that, you find that you're going to be available and not emotionally, maybe like physically available. Like it might be more of a physical change too. That I can tell you from the beginning, I wasn't ready for information until that time. Even now, like even my situation from 2023 was all about exploration. Hi, Dina. I'll get to you in just a minute. Thanks for being here. but it was all about exploration. It was all about, I did so many different things because I had a beautiful year to kind of play and play with the types of modalities that were working for others or that they offered to see what resonated with me, kind of helped heal. I had a lot of stuck trauma that I didn't realize that I was like stuck in like fight or flight for like my whole life. And I had to work through all that. And then all of a sudden, like just my life shifted and I kind of had to be in like, okay, I'm in action mode because there were a lot of things going on in my personal life with my family and things like that, where it took more action at that point rather than kind of exploration, if that makes any sense. So this journey it will take you in many ways. And sometimes we all have to just remember we're exactly where we need to be. And when we can be present like that and really just say, okay, what am I meant to see here? What am I meant to learn? It takes away from all the other stuff, good or bad. And it's just being present in that moment. And that's really helped me. Because sometimes, some days, especially on the 11/11, man, Nicole, we'll talk about that. That was heavy. That was a heavy, heavy day for me. And I know it was a portal, but it was like, I was like Cancer rising all day. And if you know anything about Cancer rising, I was like tears. I was emotional. There was a lot of stuff going on with my son and stuff going on. And I just could not get out of that state of just like feelings. So, but anyway, that was a little bit about, I wanted to share off Jason because I felt like that was perfect because you think things will all be like, when you first start out, it seems like it's all like cupcakes and rainbows. Everything's all like, yay, it's so beautiful. And then you're meant to like sit with something a little bit challenging. And then it kind of goes, you go through it. So I don't know how
share
everybody
something
else.
off of that as well?
Yeah, please.
It kind of came up when you were talking about how it's like each year, it seems like, especially in the past few years, it's been kind of like a theme that like changes. That's kind of like more of a focus that you don't really realize unless you kind of reflect back. And I was going to say though, at the beginning of this year, we did that crystal grid manifestation boards the beginning of the year, which was new to me. I hadn't really used that to my ability as a tool. And just remembering in hindsight that my big goal that I was working with is my sound healing specifically, which had you have known a year ago, I was like kind of getting into it. But looking back this year so far has been something that was the theme that I was manifesting intentionally, that I really set like a crystal grid. And every time I'd come into my office space and look at that, I was really trying to manifest that and work on that each year. And sometimes I don't really think about if I was working on it or not. But in hindsight, looking back, it really has been a focus and something that has gotten me to be more where I know who I am and I'm able to be more confident in what I can do and share. But I probably wouldn't be this like into it had I have not been so focused on wanting to manifest it, wanting to bring it into my reality, because it was important to me and it was something I wanted to like fine tune a little bit more, which I'm still doing every day. And just other instruments as well. I've been playing a little bit more of like my didgeridoo and my Indian flute and just instruments in general to create high vibes, not just within, but everywhere, has been really the theme for me this year. I know we hear a lot about sound healing from me, but I'm just so thankful to be where I am with it because I really manifested it and intended for that this year. And I'm just thankful I was able to show up for that. So I think manifesting is a big part of what we want to show up for, what we want to have for ourselves in our lives, which we don't really have that time to reflect and know unless we're kind of like sitting with ourselves and understanding what it is that we're wanting to fine tune, which was really awesome for me to learn with that crystal grid. So I highly recommend that.
I want to suggest a crystal grid like meetup group, maybe like something
that would be awesome.
Because I got the crystal grid and I didn't really necessarily put the intentions out there because of where I was at the time. But my 2025 is going to rock and I am ready. And I just want to make sure that I'm picking the crystals that are connected to me, not necessarily someone picking for me. And I just saw a woman who sells a whole bunch of crystals locally. And I'm like, can you teach me? Can you just show me like just what they all mean so I can start to gravitate? Because she had like very unique things. If you ever guys go to like a market, a lot of these people at the markets have amazing jewels and tools and things like that. Those are the places you want to go. The underground hidden stuff, not like, anything that's like advertised, that's normal, but the markets if you can get one
Yeah.
locally, go there.
Yeah, it's true. One more thing to mention, I'm sorry, but also is correlating with Jason, what he was saying with the chakra thing that the course that he kind of went through. We briefly mentioned it in this community circle yesterday, but I have created a chakra course that we're going to be putting in the courses very soon. That's very in depth about each individual chakra, including which crystals support each chakra, essential oils, meditations, poses, all kinds of things. So I'm really excited to be able to share that and get a little bit deeper, because it's these little things that really make a big difference.
That I need to share off of that real
Can't
quick.
wait.
So
Yeah.
off on 11/11, I was like thinking like I need to understand this more, because I just realized this
Wow.
month or whatever this month the essential oils, the crystals all lined up with that, and I didn't know it. I'm like,
Right.
how am I going to learn about this? And to hear you say this, it's just like,
Wow.
oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
It's
true.
amazing.
And I'm excited to share that so you can read more in depth. But it's like from the colors we wear correlate to the chakra, to the food we eat, is everything is color, because the color is frequency, and frequency is that vibration of alignment. So yeah, it's really cool to really get into that.
It's amazing.
Can't wait.
Dina,
Thank you.
girl,
Hi.
you're here. We love
I'm
it.
here. It was a little late, but made it.
Yo, anytime. And anytime anyone feels like they're running late, and even if you catch like the last 10 minutes, please join us. Even if you say something for a few minutes, we'd love it. So I'm so glad you came on. Tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about, what you've been up to. I mean, you obviously been with Spirit Calling for a while. If you want to share a little bit
Yeah.
about that, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I joined over in July of 2023, I guess it was. And so been with Pamela ever since. And then, I think I've told the story how we kind of serendipitously kind of came together at key points in our life. And, we're told by the guides that we're to work together, and, kind of blows your mind. You're like, wait, what? But it's been amazing. It's an amazing community. It's a safe space. It's helped me with my expansion. I think it was December 2021. It kind of turned on like a light bulb for me. I'd always been pretty woo-woo, but I kind of turned it off for a while, and then it just came on, and it's, again,
It's full on
going
now.
down that, going down that rabbit hole. Now it is full on. Yeah. Starting to get more messages, things like that, which is crazy. Pamela and I have been sharing. Actually, it's had like 2 or 3 times we've had the same vision and had to call each other. Like, it's just crazy. But this community is so unique, so different, because everyone here is really about support and love. And, I had a very emotional day, 11/11 too. And last weekend, some of I was called away. My girlfriend of 40 years is in hospice, and she's very bad. We're any day now, it's gonna be the end. And I rushed to see her, and it was one of those tragic but beautiful, but so raw and profound moments in my life that I think if I would have had it 5 years ago, it wouldn't have struck me as much. But what I have learned in the past 3 years of this journey helped me give her comfort as she was transitioning. And not only did we laugh and cry and tell stories of, driving around with a case of beer in the car and like no seatbelts, and doing the stupid things we did as kids. We went there from a conversation of, are you afraid? What do you need from me? How can I help you? And, she was just like, I can't believe it's over. I'm not going to see my grandbabies grow up, and this is our last conversation. And I said, you are going to see your grandbabies grow up. And she's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, this is not the end, Amy. This is, you're transitioning into a different realm. You will still be, you will see us, you will hear us, you could be with us always. And she's like, wow, I never really thought about it that way. And I swear, as we were having this very raw moment, and I told her, I said, promise me one thing. When you need to go, you go. I got Doug, I got your kids. I will keep them close. They're going to be fine. And she was like, thank you for saying that. I swear the light in the room shifted, and there was like this glow about her. I can't get it out of my mind. I can't get it out of my mind. And it was such a special, beautiful, full circle moment. And it just made me realize that no matter what we have going on, the only thing that really matters is love, connection, support, which is exactly what this community is about. You don't get any of the ick that sometimes you run into, and you're just like, this community is just pure. And I love that. And everyone that's joined, we're attracting people, the best people here who are here to help build this. And I think we're just in our infancy, but it was a profound moment. And 11/11, I got home Sunday. And I think Monday was when I really fell apart. Like I just couldn't stop crying. It was just the same thing. And not only was it her, but it was the energies,
Mhm.
And so I think it was a profound day, but I had to release that. And I did,
Oh my
so
gosh. That's
it
so
was
amazing. And that's so
yeah.
deep, like in all levels, because when it comes down to that moment, and Michael, you could probably share this with us too. Those are the most important present moments that you can ever get when
Yeah.
someone's about to transition like that. And if
Yeah.
you can get real like that, because I know, like, if today we all don't know when our last day is, right?
Mm-mm.
And if we all lived, like you said, in complete regard of this beautiful vessel that we have, and treated every moment like that, I mean, gosh, how amazing would life be?
Yeah. It's such an intimate moment
Mhm.
that I'd never been with anyone at that point. My mom passed before I got there. I'd never been with anyone in that little moment, where she was literally almost, she was halfway there, like she was in and out, and it was very, very profound. And of course, I told her when she gets to the other side, she needs to let me know and come visit me. And she's like, "You want me to haunt you?" And I'm like, "No, no, 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 no haunting. Just a visit, a message, something."
Yeah.
And she
She'll
was like,
understand when she
she'll
gets
get it
there.
when she gets there, because she's totally not
But you
in
gave
the
her like subtle permission, you know what I mean? It's like her
yeah,
soul deep down inside knows, but it's like almost
yeah,
like she had to give the ego the permission
yeah.
to
So
be able to know everything's okay.
it was cool. She's like, "How do you know all this stuff?" And I'm like, "I just know, and you need to know that you're going to be able to zip in on your grandbabies anytime you want."
Yeah.
She was like, "Oh, cool," and you won't have the pain that you've been going through. So
Mhm.
it was, it's been a week. It's been a week,
Yeah.
but beautiful in so many ways too.
Yeah. Michael, would you like to share anything about
It's Michael.
you're
I
Michael?
think,
Remember we made these rules in
okay.
the beginning.
Well, my wife went fast. So the last year, so it was a Friday and she passed on the Wednesday. So, um, that's how fast it was. She had a 30 centimeter tumor taken out of her in 2022. So, and then January of 2023, it was like everything seemed to be okay. But by end of February 2023, the tumor was coming back and um, it was inoperable by the beginning of March. So I was with her April 3rd, 2023, and I was with her in the hospital, and she was waiting to get into the hospice, and it's hard to think about it.
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry.
anyway,
We're
we
here
were
for
still
you.
trying to plan, doing stuff like she wasn't supposed to go that quickly, but she tried to talk to me, and then she fell asleep. I put her back to bed, and and then when I was in Rotary the next morning, before I left Rotary, I had 333 on my odometer. Um, when I got to Rotary, the person talking had terminal cancer or cancer. She was from a company called Castle, and my wife's favorite show was Castle. The guy beside me was um, in Rotary and Bathurst with my wife's father, my father-in-law. So he was the closest thing to my father-in-law. And then at the end of Rotary, I got a call. So that Joanne had passed. So So I went. So and then I got home after I went to the hospital, made arrangements, and she had made pictures on the wall that said hang up, but it had fallen off the wall. And I took it as a message as hang in there, right?
Mm.
Because it was knocked off the wall. So I had all these synchronicities, and then um when we went to Bathurst, which is a place in northern Brunswick, which is New Brunswick's right beside Maine. So there's a favorite beach we used to go to all the time, and my daughters and I were there, my two daughters and I, and then she sent three birds over us when we spread her ashes last in July last year, and she always sends three birds,
Mm.
and she sends white feathers all the time. Um, Sometimes she gives me a spiritual hug. And when my dog passed, she'd give me a spiritual hug on my lower legs sometimes.
What does that feel
Uh,
like? Can you tell us?
well, it's like tingling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like getting goosebumps at a certain part of your body. So I get a goosebumps um on my upper part. But once I was driving to work, I got goosebumps on my lower part and my upper part at the same time. So my dog and my wife were giving me a hug at the same time.
Mm.
I thought that was funny, but I don't usually get emotional like this, but I'm sorry.
No, I'm so
Um,
glad because this is part of the healing is the
yeah.
emotions and feeling
So
and the signs that you've gotten. Wow.
it's continuous, right? So it's subsiding. So I I saw a like I got a message of when I was meditating in March, cobalt blue, and I go, why am I reading about the color cobalt blue? So I bought a mineral cobalt blue in March, and then I went to see a medium on the exactly a year after my wife passed, which was because of leap year, April 5th. She died on April 4th last year. It's April 5th because of leap year this year. So my wife was there in the reading, and my uncle Marcel, who was with the RCMP, which is the police RCMP, like the FBI, was there. And then the medium said, you have two angels there,
Mm.
archangels, and one was Michael and Gabriel. So
Mm.
Michael
I just got
is
chills.
cobalt blue
It's
is
his,
um is his color, and um Gabriel is one for communication. So
he's
I've been
green, right?
broadcasting I've been broadcasting audiovisual, uh multimedia, IT all my life. So and I was suppressing my voice all of my life. So I have thyroid problems
Mm-hmm.
from like 2007, and that's was my first chronic illness. But I've been, and then when my wife died, it was like I took it as soon after she died, within a day, I heard Michael on my right hand side. Like the day after she died, I heard Michael. I wasn't sure if it was her voice, but I heard that's when I started hearing voices.
Mm.
So I've been hearing voices all every once in a while, past year and a half since my wife died.
So it's like your
So
gifts
now,
came online too.
yeah, yeah. So and I was doing sound healing like when my wife was still alive. So I noticed that it really calmed my nerves down. So I was into the sound healing back in 2022, 2021.
Michael, I have to tell you, it's
So
333 right now.
is it really?
It is
See, see,
Eastern
that's the
time.
secret. That's the synchronicity I got. I'm telling the story is
It's
333.
crazy. I just happened to look at the time.
I was seeing
Yeah, yeah.
333 when my wife was sick for the whole most of 2022 and most of 2023. And then it changed to a lot of 555 this year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't see numbers as much anymore, but I'm getting other things happening. But I'll let go with other
I
people
know
right now.
Nicole
So,
has to share. She has to share.
yeah.
I could already
Yeah,
feel
I
it.
was going to share what I thought of when you also, I'm sure it has a double meaning, maybe even multi-level meaning. But the cobalt blue also in your needing to work on your voice, that is the color
Yeah.
of your throat chakra, which
Ah,
definitely I have to like go together when you work on that that color
Yeah,
in your
that's what I,
throat
yeah,
also.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm,
And when the medium saw me, she saw gold and green in my aura. That's what she
Wow.
saw.
Yeah.
She thought I was in a doctor, and I said no. But for some reason, I didn't tell her I worked for Health PEI, and I played uh, a doctor, like a personality on radio back in the late '80s. I call myself Doctor Demento, but not the real Doctor Demento. But I didn't know there was another Doctor Demento, but I did play that persona. So I was doing
interesting.
creative stuff with radio and audio and stuff like that. So creating skits, and so I think that's what she saw. But
That's
and I
That's
work
really
right now.
amazing.
I work with people all the time on at Health PEI, trying to help them with um, audio or virtual care stuff. So that's what I do. So supporting them all the
awesome.
time.
That's
Yeah.
wonderful. Would anyone else like to share, Mike, Madeline, Jason, on, I mean, obviously on this topic, is there something that might have deeper meaning on a transition? Maybe maybe your own personal rebirth. I mean, I've literally become a new person, and had to let go of almost like died and reborn. So if it's something similar, to that, would you like to share it now before we maybe shift gears here?
I've got a story I want to share real quick.
Yeah.
So as like that, this goes back to that stuff that I posted the other day. So like, obviously grew up super religious, and I was very stuck in that groove, even though I was like sent away from the religion from my bishop, was told to go repent. But it basically took my sister's death when she passed away. The day she passed away is when I realized it was like a massive eye opening. Like I feel like it was well, I know it was a sign to me to move on, like to let go of the religion, put this stuff behind me, and move forward with my life. And so, kind of in a quick nutshell, like that is like one thing for me. Like it's really probably the closest death that I've ever been associated with. So there was that, and it was one of my siblings that I had the closest relationship with. You know, we had been separated for close to 2.5 years, so I hadn't been able to talk to her before her death. And but I knew that was a sign, like let go of the old, and go move forward. And that's like for me, that was a huge, monumental part in my life, or moment in my life.
That's beautiful. Sometimes it's hard to realize in that transition of someone that you love, to realize that it's time to move on. And then, but then how almost it's a gift that is given to you because you got to experience deeper love connections, and not this other ideology that in your reality you knew wasn't what your soul desired. Yeah. Mike, Madeline, anything that you want to share?
One of the biggest transformations for me that really helped with all this death, because I was always afraid of death. Like I would think about it, and I would get heart palpitations and have an anxiety attack about it. And through my church, being at my church a couple of years ago, and then in this community, I'm now realizing that it's not a bad thing, and I'm realizing that there is no heaven and hell. And that was one of my biggest fears, because my ex passed away 3 years ago. And my concern for her was, did she make it to heaven? Because everybody teaches you when you're in church, that if you're a sinner, if you don't accept Jesus Christ, you go into hell. If you live a certain way, you're going to hell. And I was afraid of that for my parents too, for the longest time, because they weren't religious. And me being in religion, that was my biggest fear for them. So since being in this community, now that I know there really is no sin, there's really no heaven and hell, that took such a weight off my shoulders. I mean, it was, I think, so much better now, and I have a much better perspective on life in general because of that realization.
Absolutely. I think too, I agree a lot with what you had to say. And I wasn't necessarily afraid of death. You know what I was afraid of? I was afraid of like infinity. And that's, believe it or not, I love like the eight Eight's my favorite number. And then my podcast, the Conscious Broadcast, is the infinity with butterflies. But I was always afraid that before I could understand it, I'm like, God, it just keeps going and going and going and going. And it's endless and expanding and expanding. And I couldn't understand it. And I'd almost like hyperventilate about it. Like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And I could see like darkness, but like just like it kept expanding. And, as I started tapping into more spirituality and then trying to understand that, that this physical being is a shortened time frame, but yes, we get to explore and move on. And like, it's just like we know, like nothing can be, energy can't be created nor destroyed. We know that is the theory, right? So I started getting calmness and knowing that we've done this before. I've been around for a while. I chose this. And then I started to realize, like, trust it, even though it's not something that we all get in the physical. I started to trust my intuition. I started to trust whatever this is, what feels good. That because I didn't grow up with a religion. So, but I never liked religion because I always felt when I would sit in with friends, I'd hear that message, like, you're going to go to hell. I'm thinking, what a terrible way to live,
Yeah.
to constantly be in the worry of going to somewhere in hell. I'm like, I don't want to be there, but because I don't follow these rules, I'm going to go to hell. So I just was like, that's not for me. But I was always seeking more of the truth or the answers or what this is all about. I think that a lot of us are looking for that knowledge of whatever our soul desires. But yeah, I too was afraid of death. I think I don't know how some of the parents may feel. I think the biggest thing I have is that I said, I'm in this in the long run, in this lifetime, and I want to be here. And I'm making that commitment to whatever that is I'm choosing to live. Right. And I think that that is important because some of the decisions that we make might not be intentional to be the best version of ourselves and to really embrace what we have going on here. And that for my kids, I worry if I weren't here that how would they be? So that's really my biggest worry is like, how are my kids going to handle all this? Sorry, my son's tapping on me over here as I'm saying this. You want to say hi? I'm on my podcast. I don't know if you can see him.
No,
We could
can't
hear
see
you
him.
talking about him. So,
Yeah, you came in. What are you doing?
Oh, there
he
is
is.
little head.
hey,
Come sit on my lap. I was just talking about how much I love you guys. Oh, there he is. That's my son right there.
Oh, he's
what's up,
adorable.
Matson?
He's gonna run away.
He's
But
like, leave me alone.
but yeah, so go ahead, honey. You can play. That's fine.
I was gonna share what kind of came up for me. It actually came up at the beginning too. So the fact that it's kind of coming up again, I guess I'm supposed to share it. But I have never, obviously, personally had this experience, but working in a hospital setting for many years, I've had one-on-one, really deep conversations with people that have had near-death experiences. And to be able to have a little glimpse of what this whole dimensional game is about, but at the same time to be able to return and still have that awareness and knowledge of that beautiful existence of all things and everything at once, and how almost every single person that has these experiences, it jump starts their life. They feel reborn again. They feel so grateful for every little breath that we take. And just having these little mini deaths and rebirths like we're talking about, it's kind of like mini versions of that, but on a grander scale, like we're talking about actual death, to be able to have a taste of that and know people on this physical that can come back and attest to these same occurrences over and over and over, that we can truly say that we know what's on the other side, and it's beautiful and it's connecting and it's everything that you could imagine and then some. And so to really take that fear away and to hear people's stories, that how that really makes them feel so passionate for life, I think is a huge story in itself, to get rid of the fear of death and all of these fears and myths of what's to be and what's going to happen, because we already have a great idea just with a near death experience alone, just knowing that. So yeah, I want to share that.
Absolutely.
I agree. Those stories are amazing. I
They
mean,
are.
when you hear the stories, I had an experience not quite that dramatic, but when I was, I spent the first 15 years of my life in a hospital for hip congenital hip issue. Often 3 months at a time in traction, and I got a horrible infection. And temperature was up to like when I was 6, like I was literally going into shock. And I so remember there was a point that I was behind myself, looking and seeing my mom and my dad and my uncle and my aunt crying. And I remember saying, what's the big deal? Like, I remember being like, why are they so sad? Like, this is great. Like, I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be fine. And it was the weirdest thing because I was looking this way versus up, you know? And it was such a peaceful place. So peaceful. I wasn't like over, but I was out of my body in some way. And I was 13, I think. But it was such a peaceful place. And it was like, and I've never been afraid since then.
Beautiful.
That's amazing.
Thank you
I
for
love
sharing
these
that.
stories when people have those near-death experiences. A family member's father had a near-death. He had a heart attack. And I guess like when he was out, and I guess they were bringing him back to life, he recalls like these interesting beings, like shifting him over and talking to him. And I think there's a movie basically about these beings, you know. And then when and my brother-in-law is telling me all about this, and he was like, and my brother-in-law couldn't understand it. And I'm like, yeah, I've heard about this. Like, tell me more and more.
So
And he's
cool.
like, and he's like so disconnected now to us. Like he's like somewhere else. And you know, meanwhile, I'm like, no, he's totally connected. And like that's where it's like this place like Spirit Calling would be the place because he could share stories.
He could share.
Because because people around him aren't quite awake to this or aware of this shift, when in fact he really is telling what he saw or what he went through. And he changed his whole life around. I mean, I heard he lost a ton of weight. He shifted everything around, but again, he's still a little bit more introspective, I guess, because not many people are opened to what he saw. They just think, oh, what you experienced was crazy. And I know that's one reason why we're here on Spirit Calling in general. If we talk about something, like people are like, what are you talking about? Like awakening?
Yeah.
What does that mean? Like people are quite not there yet, but it's happening. And we just had a huge, as you guys know, and Dina, maybe you could even share about with Spirit Calling, a ton of people shifted to another, a piece of awakening. Maybe not this. I feel like we're constantly wakening up, right? To what this reality is, but.
No, there's a huge shift and it's amazing. I think even people that I would never expect, like I was talking to a group of guys in finance and I mentioned something about astrology and they're like, oh, what are you talking about? And I was like, wait, what? Finance guys? Like, it's amazing how many people are they want more. And what they know all of a sudden they know there's more, and that this can't be all there is, because then what's the purpose, right? What is the purpose if we're not here to learn and expand and grow? What are we here for? Like, you don't just go into darkness and like, then what is all this for? And I think people are realizing, especially with all that's been going on, that there is more. And I think also with we've got iPhones, there's so many different sightings of UFOs and USOs and all these things. People are like, wait, we cannot be the only beings. There has to be more to this universe. And you're seeing an influx of people, the curiosity. I mean, Pamela, you know, when she posted her first TikTok, I mean, she was scared. She was scared to death. Like, you know, it's a big move to put yourself out there, and then just seeing the number of people that came, you know, and just came and were interested and positive and all those things. It was it's amazing. People are out there, they're searching and they're looking for people that align with them and a safe space, because as you guys all know, when you start going in the awakening process, you think you're losing your mind. You're like, what's going on? Why am everything feels different, everything feels weird. But then you're in such a place of bliss, you're like, why can't everybody see what I see?
And then you're screaming.
Then you're just like, I want to tell everybody. So it's amazing. And there's a huge shift happening now, and people are waking up other people and letting them know it's safe. And I think all of the ick that's been happening is happening to bring this shift to the forefront so that we can move to the next
Yeah.
phase. So you got to go through kind of a little ick before you get to the good, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what's happening now, where people are saying, this is enough. This isn't working for me. There's got to be more. And reverting back to say, and I think COVID started that. I really think
it did. It sure
COVID
did.
kind of started people saying, what is life about? What am I doing? I'm running around like a crazy woman. I don't even enjoy my life. I'm just doing and I'm not being.
Yes. Well, and I think that's so true. And I think we looked outside of ourselves so much. And that's one
Always.
thing that COVID really, for at least for me, but a little bit pre-COVID, but I started seeing things and then belief systems or somebody that I believed in or somebody that I followed and then something would come up about it, and I would be like, whoa, like I thought a totally different thing of this group or whatever it was. And so my attachment was almost relinquished and like letting go of the attachments that don't serve us anymore.
Exactly. And the external pressures, you go to school, you got to get married, you got to have kids, you gotta. Who made those rules? Like,
exactly.
It's crazy.
Don't you love talking about that? Why do we have to do that? Why is it called the driveway and not the parkway? Like, you even think about the English language, right? It's like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, everything's assigned, and we see it through those lenses. And when you take off those glasses and say, what am I really observing versus what is my ego telling me I'm seeing, hearing, feeling? What am I really observing? And then you see things in a different way. And even with everything going on right now, being completely non-political, there's just a lot of hate and fighting and tension, and it's bringing all of this to the head, I think, so that people can say, we want a different way. There's more out there. There's a better way to be. And I truly believe that's gonna happen, because I think I was in the airport last week going to see my friend, and I heard no less than 6 conversations just on the train, in the plane, people just talking, saying, I'm done. I'm done listening to things. I don't want to hear what's going on. I just want to live my life and be a good person. I want to enjoy life. And it was just overwhelming, the same conversation, because I don't usually notice, but I noticed it because it was so vocal, and I was packed on a train and I could hear people really clearly. But so many people just, I'm done. I just want to be happy.
Yeah.
I just want to be happy. And
sometimes these elections can get you to stop in your tracks too.
Yeah.
And it did for me in 2016, because I did have to shift, and I had to get more information, and I was willing to try to understand, where when you're in a state of almost like brainwash or just in a belief so deep, you can't see it any other way. So in this way, if this brought up, it went past, it went over the cup, it's overflowing now. If people could say, what, I'm done, I'm calm, and they can honestly erase whatever might be overwhelming them to almost peace, tranquility, what's the word? Kind of like just balance. Then you don't get overwhelmed with being pulled one side or the other, because we saw that in COVID. We saw people all over here and people are over there, and I'm like, we just need to come together, back together. We're not anybody's enemy. We're all living the same. We're all participants, right? So
exactly.
I can't wait till we can all realize, like, wait a minute, like, we're just people just trying to wake up and live the best versions of ourselves and enjoy this beautiful space that we've been given, and let's do it, right?
Yeah.
I'm so ready for 2025. I don't know what it is, but I'm like ignited. I know it's weird that it's like a shift for something about the numbers, but it is. It's like we had to get through the ick, like you said. We still got to phase all that stuff out, but
it's really, it's one of the things that the guides have said in our sessions continuously for several times now, is that the masks are coming off. So what we thought we knew, we will no longer know, and the people we revered will fall. So I think we're going to be a little surprised by what that happens. And you know, like the P. Diddy thing, I think has got to have long tentacles,
Yeah.
you know, long tentacles. And I think there's going to be a big unmasking. And they said,
Absolutely.
you know, so no one is safe. We're all going to have somebody that we admired fall and be like,
Yeah.
no, not her, not him, you know, but they said it has to happen to deconstruct what we have to rebuild the new,
Yeah.
right?
I'm so ready for it. I know I
And me
might
too.
not be ready for it, but I'm like, let's just go. Go for it.
It's like, I'm kind of ready.
Take the Band-Aid off. Let's see it. But I know like a lot of people just aren't even aware. They don't even, I mean, it's all access to that information. If you want to seek it is there. But like I said, there's these blindfolds on, and then this election, it literally blew everything off,
Yeah,
I think, to
yeah,
the point where now it's just a matter of time. And like you
yeah,
said,
yeah.
I don't, Pamela said it too. Like she said this a long time ago that it's going to shift humanity completely.
Yeah. Stop you in your tracks is what they always say. Stop you in your tracks in an instant. So it was weird. I'll have to pull. Pamela sent me this thing. It was the Hopi prophecy,
Mm-hmm.
and it's from 1970. And the Hopi Indian tribe is explaining the prophecy, and they explain the change that is coming with the man with the red hat or the red cloak. So he's, you know, we know who that is, and he's here for a reason, right? There's a reason.
Right.
And if you listen to it, I'll find it, or Pamela sent to me, post it on, but it's wow. What he's saying, you've got this side, you've got that side, and like what's gonna happen. And it's from 1972. And it seems like that's what we're living in right now. She sent it to me the other day, and I was like, holy
I
cow.
posted that video with the Indians in Yellowstone, the Native Americans, about the rare bison, white bison that was what was it, a bison or bull or a buffalo? It might have been the buffalo.
Yeah, yeah.
The
I
buffalo.
think a bison is a buffalo, isn't it? I don't know.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank
Buffalo,
you.
bison are the same thing. Thank you. But they said that was a sign, but also a warning. And I found that to be very interesting. So we're getting signs everywhere, right?
Yeah, they're popping up. They're popping up. If
Yeah.
you see them and you know what to look like, and it's like, ooh, you know, it's interesting. So very cool.
Yeah, very cool. Well, we got a few more minutes, guys. Is there anything else anybody's been dying to share? Nicole, I know you have some. Oh, Mike, is that you or is that your cat? I see a cat.
I thought he raised his hand. It's
Me too. The cat wants to say something.
Cat's like high vibration.
Yeah.
Taking a hit as he goes by.
I got something.
Yeah.
I was doing the 11/11 event with Isha Patel last weekend, and there's one session where we had Marcel Hoff, Win Hoff's brother.
Mm-hmm.
So I did I did 40 minutes of special breathing.
Mm.
And at the end of the 40 minutes, you hold your breath for a minute, and then you suck in and you hold it for a minute, and then you push up, like you sort of push and hold. So what happened is that I had this bright white light in my head and like caused bliss. Like I've never had that happen before. It looked like a star in my head where my third eye is. So that was just doing like breathing work. So which was quite cool. So
I had something like that too. I was at a festival where I just kind of jumped in. They were having little workshops, and it was a breathwork workshop.
Yeah.
And I literally went through, I felt like when we were holding our breath for so long, for some reason, I related it to almost like drowning. And then I got like that you're not really drowning. It's just like another portal entrance of like another reality. I don't know. It was crazy. And I saw like a whole new light because it basically was teaching me like you think that you're drowning, but you're really not. It's just a shift into another dimension. I don't know. It was so wild that you said that.
Yeah, so
Nicole,
it was amazing. So I was like, it's like I'm belting away something here, which is awesome. So
yeah, Nicole, what did you want to say?
I was gonna say that I have a Wim Hof app, and that also plays with holding the breath and you kind of like work up to longer and longer for yourself. And it got to the point for me that I was almost like falling asleep holding my breath, I would feel like. And I would have like these weird sensations. They weren't like anything I could describe other than sensations, but I would almost like wake myself up with like this huge breath. And I just can't even explain the feelings, but it wasn't scary. It was more blissful. And
Mhm.
I haven't really been able to practice it for a while, but I remember when I was doing it, I used to be thinking, I can't even hold my breath for like barely a minute. And then it was going like a minute more, and then a minute more, and then like a minute more. And it was just like amazing to see that it's just like a muscle that we exercise anywhere. If the more you play with it, the more breathing you exercise, your lungs expand, etc. But the other breathing exercise I wanted to share, which I actually shared on Spirit Calling a while ago, it was a Kundalini breathing, which I know there's some hesitance on that, but the really breath of fire of breathing rapidly, like your lungs are like a bellows pumping in and out. That, sorry, can you still hear me?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so like the bellows pumping in and out when you're breathing, it truly creates this rising of energy and Kundalini to activate your third eye. And the feelings and sensations that come with that meditation, every time I do it, is just, I can't even explain it. It's so cool. So I really advise playing with your breath and playing with
Yeah.
different
Okay.
types of breaths, because
It's
it's
the
a
life
whole,
source, guys. The breath
yeah,
is the
that
life.
is life. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It
The
is. You
prana,
should
the
share that
chi.
meditation. Do you have it, Nicole? You should share it.
Yes, I will reshare it.
Share,
Mhm.
share it. I'd love to
Can
see
you
Yeah,
it.
it's one
share
of my
it
favorite
too in
ones.
5D all day as well? Just so if people want to from
Right
this
here in this
conversation
chat?
can access. Yeah, not in the
Yeah.
chat, in on Spirit Calling,
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
in my little group. So that way anyone here can just easily go there if they need to at some point.
That sounds good.
Awesome. Awesome, guys. What amazing conversations. I love it. I love it. I love it every time. I hope you guys
Always
love it.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you
Thanks,
guys so much
guys.
for
Always good.
sharing. Like I said, keep on being you and just keep spreading your light, because that's what we're supposed to be. We are the beacons of light, and it's going to be an amazing, amazing shift. So I thank you guys so much for being here and having these conversations with me. I look forward to it. And I will be here next month, on the 27th of December. So it should be good.
Cool.
So I hope I can see all you guys again on that Friday. And again, I'm Danielle Kane with Spirit Calling. This is the lovely, lovely group of people that are part of our group, of a bigger group. You could check out spirit-calling.com to try a 7-day trial if you're interested in checking out all the events and things like that. All right, guys. Thanks so much again.
Thanks, Al. Good to
All
see
right.
you.
We'll see you next
Everybody.
time.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody.
Time.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.